Reducing crime, keeping Louisville safe, and a spike in your gas bill. The move from the mayor that could mean it's all related.
Police need your help finding someone who was with a murder victim just before she died, where she was seen 20 minutes before she was shot.
Police say they were forced to work as customers filled their plates at the buffet. The human trafficking case in Louisville that has a Chinese restaurant owner facing charges.
We're going to see a warm-up heading through the holiday weekend, but there is a shower chance when we could see a couple of those light showers in your area coming up next.
Hormone replacement. It's not just for women anymore. It's exploding among men. What you can reasonably expect and the possible dangers.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Lindsay Allen.
And I'm David Scott. Louisville's mayor wants LG&E customers to pay for adding police officers.
WDRB's Tamara Evans tells us it's part of Greg Fisher's proposed budget. Tamara.
That fee would be about a $20 fee for families. That's an annual fee for the year. And the public safety additions really come down to the youth violence that we saw in downtown Louisville on March 22nd. Today, Mayor Greg Fisher announced his $750 million budget, which calls for spending more money on public safety. He says after the March 22nd violence, there was a lot of concern here in the community. This budget includes hiring 96 police officers to cover retirements and put 24 more officers on the streets. It also includes a real-time crime center that would be staffed by 9 people who would watch the Metro Watch surveillance cameras. But to make the public safety changes, the mayor says they need additional funding. This would be funded through an increase in LG&E costs for customers. It would raise gas bills by 3% annually, which he says would generate $4.8 million for the city.
Enacting this fee is not something that I do lightly, but I believe for $20, this is in the best interest of our community. To increase police protection, keep our city growing, maintain a balanced budget, and invest in the quality of our neighborhoods.
And as part of the proposed budget, the mayor also wants to make $581,000 in improvements to Slugger Field that will enable it to be used for professional soccer. He says they've been working with a group of investors who plan to bring a professional team to Louisville. And that's just a couple of the proposals in that budget. To see more, you can go right now to WDRB.com. And Metro Council has until the end of June to adopt a final budget. Reporting live, Tamara Evans, WDRB News.
Tamara, thank you. The Bullitt County Sheriff's Office says it's close to solving the Knob Creek murder case, but it needs the public's help.
WDRB's Emily Muir shows us new video surveillance of someone police are calling a person of interest.
Police are asking for a man who came in this liquor store the night of May 9th to come forward. They believe this man you're seeing in surveillance video was with Donisha McStutes the night she was murdered. Take a good look at him. Police say he was driving a dark-colored truck, appears to be 40 to 55 years old, and is wearing all white and a Stars and Stripes bandana. He might also have a ponytail. Police say he was in Jerry's Liquors between 6:10 and 6:20 the night of May 9th. Police say McStutes was murdered just a few minutes later.
Ms. McStutes, based upon our timeline at this point in time, was murdered around 6:40 on Friday, May 9th. So 20 minutes prior, the information we have shows that Ms. McStutes was with this gentleman at that point in time.
Again, he's a person of interest, not a suspect at this time. That means police just want to talk to him. If you have any information on this person, you're asked to call the Bullitt County Sheriff's Office Criminal Division. You can find that number on WDRB.com. Emily Muir, WDRB News.
Police say Herbert Hall just wanted the tattoo on his back finished for free. The Shepherdsville man is accused of leaking confidential court documents to Paul Turner, the owner of Inkaholics, in exchange for the tattoo. Turner was arrested in April, accused of selling drugs and weapons out of his shop. Hall performs technical work for a Bullitt County attorney. He's charged with unlawful access to a computer. Long hours and low pay, but police say those aren't the only problems with a local Chinese restaurant.
WDRB's Stefan Johnson tells us about the human trafficking charges that led to the arrest of a South End restaurant owner. Stefan.
Well, good evening. Metro Police arrested the owner of the Golden Palace Buffet late last night, and they say this wasn't just a case of low-paying jobs, but more like human trafficking.
Yeah, that's real shocking to me.
Gloria West and her family are regulars at the Golden Palace Buffet on the Outer Loop.
We come about once every 2 or 3 months with my father-in-law.
That's why she's shocked to hear what the owners are accused of doing.
I've never seen anybody in there that didn't act like they didn't want to be there.
But Metro Police say there's more to the story. Wednesday night, the owner of the restaurant, Ming Chen, was arrested and charged with human trafficking.
We've been investigating this restaurant for over a year.
Police say that year-long investigation showed some employees were not being properly compensated.
We found in our investigation that some of the females that was working as waitresses was working for tips only, and most of the time they didn't even get to keep their tips.
And there's more.
Some of the victims didn't even know what city they were in.
Police say the alleged victims were living in rough conditions in the basement of Chen's South End home.
And the actual basement door from the inside of the house was blocked off. They had no access to come up into the actual home.
Right now, police won't say how many alleged victims there are, but this might give you a clue.
So the basement was set up to where they had these little tiny rooms. There was, I say, approximately 10 little rooms in this basement. They were real small rooms. Some of them, more than one person slept in the rooms.
Meanwhile, customers like Gloria West don't know if they'll be back after this.
I don't know. I want to see what's going on.
And Chen's wife is also charged with human trafficking, although she was allowed to remain free to be with the couple's children. Meanwhile, we spoke to a family member who wants to remain anonymous, but she did say this is not true. She says all of the alleged victims are employees, longtime employees, who are from New York. At LMPD headquarters, I'm Stefan Johnson, WDRB News.
All right, thanks, Stefan. Straight line winds rip off roofs and take out windows across our southern counties. At the Ratcliffe Plaza on Dixie Highway, multiple businesses were severely damaged during storms overnight, as were 2 homes a few miles away. One of those homes belongs to Chris Rogers, a young man who had just spent his and his fiance's life savings buying their first home.
And I grabbed her and thrown her in the corner and jumped on top and covered her up. And as I did it, the ceiling just ripped off.
Damage was also reported in Taylor, LaRue, Oldham, Henry, Shelby, Carroll, and Franklin counties.
The National Weather Service did get out today to inspect some of that damage to determine A, the wind strength, and B, was this a tornado or was this straight line winds? Now, first off, I want to say the damage, you know, from the standpoint of what happens, it really doesn't matter if it's a tornado or straight line winds. Damage is damage. But the numbers the National Weather Service came in, no tornadoes. This was all straight line winds as was expected. 70 to 75 mile per hour winds out of Radcliffe. This is what we call a microburst. It was a small but very intense area of wind. 65 mile an hour winds out of LaRue County and 70 mile an hour winds from the National Weather Service out of Taylor County. The National Weather Service did lift Adair County out of the severe thunderstorm watch, and I think that was the right thing to do. And you can see those storms continue their progression off to the south and away from our area. The bottom line here, severe weather threat we dealt with basically for about a day and a half is over, and now we're going to start to move towards the weekend where things are going to start off on the cool side, but we will see a significant warm-up. When to expect temperatures in the upper 80s in about 10 minutes.
Sounds great. All those pools opening up. Kentucky's Agriculture Department will get its hemp seeds after all. It's expecting a UPS delivery of the seeds tomorrow. That's after several holdups over customs and permit issues. But now the state says the DEA has approved the permit to allow the state to use the 250 pounds of seeds for various experiments. The Agriculture Commissioner says the seeds must be in the ground by the first week of June, or they could lose their yield. A former Brandenburg officer has been offered a plea deal after being indicted for having a sexual relationship with a 15-year-old girl.
That's according to Todd Matty's attorney. He and former KSB trooper Strafford Young were indicted in March for charges including rape and sodomy. Matty's attorney didn't disclose the details of the plea offer.
They gave us an offer. Obviously, our position on this is he did absolutely nothing. He did nothing wrong. He's innocent. You know, we're interested in talking that through with the Commonwealth to see what they're offering. But at this point, we're just assuming that we're going to proceed to trial.
Young's attorney also made a motion to dismiss his indictment. Prosecutors and defense attorneys will each issue responses to the dismissal motion. Then the judge will make a ruling that could have implications for Matty's case as well. Only on WDRB tonight, a New Albany police officer is making several claims against her department, including corruption, padded overtime, and discrimination. Patrol officer Laura Shook spoke only to WDRB News about the tort claims she and her lawyer have now filed. It essentially notifies the city of New Albany and now former Chief Sherry Knight of their intentions to file a civil lawsuit. Shook is seeking $500,000 in damages and a promotion.
It was not investigated. The 3 supervisors were not punished, and they were told that I told on them. And after that, my treatment at work began to differ from that of all of my other coworkers, and it's been that way ever since.
I'm here. The city of New Albany's attorney says he's surprised that a tort claim was filed instead of a grievance through the union, since it's work-related. Knight tells WDRB News she hasn't received the tort claim and didn't comment on the allegations. She and the assistant chief were reassigned this week.
A new state audit has some JCPS employees concerned for their jobs.
I've got some nervous folks here, no question about that.
The report finds the district's warehouse system is costly, outdated, and unnecessary. JCPS orders supplies in bulk, stores them in 6 different facilities, and delivers to schools on demand. Auditor Adam Edenland says if the district cut warehouses and sent supplies directly from vendors to schools, it could save $3 million. But 59 people work in that department.
I have no doubt that we can make improvements related to every finding. So if there are improvements and efficiencies we can make related to the warehouse finding, we'll start implementing those.
Warehousing is one of 200 recommendations being considered from the audit intended to maximize money for classrooms.
Well, guys don't have the energy or the sexual prowess you once did. Some say testosterone therapy can solve that and many other problems.
If we can get everybody testosterone, it's life-changing for people, but we have to do it safely.
So just what can testosterone replacement do? And the new studies raising concerns about safety.
Thanks to a grant from Norton Healthcare, WDRB News is still the only station bringing real-time closed captioning to the nearly 150,000 deaf and hard of hearing people in Kentuckiana. Norton Healthcare.
Millions of men are putting their hopes in what some claim is a sort of fountain of youth, testosterone replacement.
While its popularity is exploding lately, there are new concerns about safety. Tonight, a look at what some claim testosterone therapy can do and who should avoid it.
I run a business. I get up in the morning and I'm ready to go. I'm zippity-doo-dah.
You may have seen ads like these from a Louisville clinic called Body Shapes, singing the praises of testosterone therapy.
I'm stronger, I'm faster, I've got more passion, more energy, and I'm happier than ever. Without hesitation, I'd tell anyone to go to Body Shapes.
Dr. Elizabeth Bates was an internal specialist for 13 years. She says she left traditional medicine to work for Body Shapes after discovering that testosterone therapy could do what medications could not, including a boost in the bedroom.
It's definitely improves sexual performance and interest. It improves mental clarity. A lot of people that have foggy brains will find that is lifted once they're on testosterone. It definitely improves mood. Many times we're able to actually pull people off their antidepressants because their mood is so improved.
And Bates says more than 95% of her patients see not just a small improvement, but a huge one. She even says testosterone can do what Cialis and Viagra can't.
Testosterone is what drives sex drive, erections. And so if you get that level up and again replenish what is missing, people perform wonderfully.
Treatments come in 3 forms: a cream that needs to be applied twice a day, pellets that are implanted and last about 3 months, and shots that have to be given once a week. Hopes of a new shot at youth have propelled testosterone therapy into a multi-billion-dollar industry, with the number of patients growing by 10 times in the last decade. But endocrinologist Stephen Winters with U of L Physicians says the effects of testosterone therapy can vary widely. As far as claims of helping with erectile dysfunction,
very little. Really, that's drugs like Viagra and Cialis are much more effective treatments of erectile dysfunction, but they're very expensive.
But there are concerns that testosterone therapy could actually hurt you. There are questions about it possibly increasing the likelihood of prostate cancer. And a recent study published in the Journal of the American Medical Association shows that men who had testosterone therapy were more likely to have heart problems. Dr. Bates says that study has caused Body Shapes to change its policy, even though it already did extensive testing and monitoring of its patients before.
So if somebody comes in with heart disease, because of this data, we'll say to them, maybe you're not a great candidate for testosterone.
Cardiologist Andrew D. Philippus with U of L Physicians says the